Welcome to Inside Your Finance podcast, where we explore people's relationships with money by chatting with everyday professionals like me and you. We dive into their money lessons, money mistakes, and tips and tricks that they've learned along the way. I am your host, Jennifer Aikoroje. And in today's episode, we have Dr. Mercy Akinsipe. Dr. Mercy is an amazing doctor. She's actually my personal doctor here in Calgary. She is a fitness enthusiast, an avid runner. She actually ran her first marathon this year, which is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
In case you don't know, a marathon is 42.2 kilometers. That's a lot.
It is.
So good job. And while she's not doing that, when she's not saving lives as a medical doctor or running or working out, she's also a mother of two beautiful daughters, and she spends a lot of time either playing golf with her kids and her husband or cooking her favorite homemade meals for the family. That's a packed schedule. I don't know how you do it. But I think we're going to dive into that and see how you're able to make everything work and fit into it. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get started and dive into like the money lessons, can you just give us a quick intro into like who you are, like outside of what you do as a professional? What are some of the things that you like to do for fun? What are some of the things that define who you are as a person?
Okay, so in terms of what I like to do for fun, I won't really call it fun. It's just part of who I am. I really love to work out. I love exercising. I feel like it really keeps me grounded. It helps with mental health. And of course, when you work out, especially for me, I always feel good. I always try and make sure, like in the morning before I start my day, I get in cardio at least 30 minutes if I can. And I also try and get in 30 minutes of strength training as well. If it's really, I'm pressed on time, I'll just pick one over the other. But I always try to make sure I do that. And okay, so outside being a doctor, what else? Of course, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I'm a mom, a wife. I have two beautiful girls. At home, it is really busy taking care of them. Of course, I'm training them to make sure that they follow in my footsteps and my husband's, and of course, to be better than what I am today. I have goals for them, but I really like my girls. They're hilarious, actually.
Yeah.
We watch movies together, we hang out, and then of course as a family we go out, we'll play golf, and I cook. They love my cooking.
Nice.
My kids are so picky, especially my youngest. She will not eat certain things. Or if we buy food outside, she'll say, "Oh, well, Mom, it didn't taste as good as yours."
Oh, wow.
And meanwhile, I'm just like, yes.
That's like the best compliment as a mom, right? When your daughter like absolutely loves your meal.
Yeah, they
So,
love my cooking.
going back to your fitness thing, like how did that start? Have you always just been someone who loves working out, or?
Actually, that's a great question, because it wasn't always like that. I will say what got me into fitness was when I was going to get married, honestly.
Oh.
When I was because I went to McMaster for my undergrad. I studied honors biochemistry. In McMaster, I didn't really work out as much. Like, yeah, there was a gym. There were a lot of things going on, but I didn't really work out. It was towards the end, I felt like I started getting into the workouts, but more so very basic stuff. So I started off with Insanity, Shanti.
Oh my gosh, I remember Insanity.
Yeah, right? So
It was insane.
Yeah, so I started off with Insanity,
Yeah.
and it was, I would say, probably in my third year of undergrad. That's when I started, and then it just picked up.
Okay, so as we move into like your money journey, then I know money is not something that is really talked about a lot.
Right.
But I'm also exploring the nature nurture dichotomy as it pertains to money. Essentially, how much of how we relate with money is due to who we are versus how we were raised, right? Or what our parents did, right? So I'm curious to know, like, what was your earliest memory of money? And even more so, how was money talked about at home, right? With your parents, what was that relationship like? And how do you think that has shaped how you see money today?
I feel like what has shaped how I value money is my experiences over time. So definitely, when I was younger, money was, I would say the first time I actually got an allowance was with my parents. They would say, but specifically my dad, he would say, you know, depending on how you do, like it was more like an honor system. So if you had good grades, then you had like money at the end. So it was kind of like something I was fighting for in a way, because I wanted to, of course, have good grades and be on honor roll, but also it was nice to have that reward at the end. It was something to look forward to. So that was in my younger years. And in terms of how money was managed, I would say with my dad, he was very systematic. He had things, there was always like a budget for stuff, and he believed in allowances. He would give you an allowance, and then whatever you do with your money, that's on you. So that was like the system that I was introduced to. And then I feel like, moving on, like when fast forward up to university for me was different because I moved to Canada actually when I was 16. So I moved here and I started, it's called pre-university. So I did that initially, and then transitioned to university at McMaster University. But that was like the first time I was leaving home, because I never went to boarding school, and that was like the first time I was living independently.
Right.
So I felt like it was different because there was a lot of responsibilities that I had to be responsible for, essentially. So with starting with the pre-university, I had to be responsible for bills, like your phone bills, like you had to set up the internet. And all those things were kind of new territories for me, because I'm like, oh, okay, this is new. Like I'm actually independent, trying to do all these things.
Yeah.
So that was, like, I would say the stepping stone, learning how to manage things and being responsible. And then transition over to university. Now you have to know how to be on a budget, because you have to make sure you're planning, because each amount you're getting is all allocated for certain things, and you don't want to, of course, overspend. So I felt like with my education, I was fortunate. My parents, especially my dad, like they sponsored, and so with him sending money, I felt like I had to be responsible with how I received the money. So yes, there's money for tuition, but then he would always give money for certain things for me to spend. And so with the allowance, then I would allocate what's for what.
Right.
So I always believed in that system,
So
planning.
right.
Yeah.
So you're saying that because your dad was a planner, that kind of stuck with you till now. Would you say you're still a planner even now?
I'm definitely still a planner till now, and every day you learn. I'm being much better too. I feel like with the whole process, so like from university, then going to residency, and then from residency, actually no, medical school to residency, residency to being out on your own, adulthood. Everything's different. Like there's different stages, because I would say for each time you're in, you have different responsibilities. And I feel as you get older, it's like the responsibilities just get bigger.
Yeah.
And so over time, I've learned over time how to manage and prioritize how to do different things, and how to manage money. And I value money a lot more.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to, so I know you said like when you first came, you're pre-university, obviously your dad was sponsoring and sending you money and stuff, but what was medical school like? So I know obviously as a doctor, you go through medical school, you're not really earning.
Right.
Then you go to residency.
Right.
You're not earning as much. You're earning something.
Right. You're not earning as much. But then that's good, because that's the first time you're kind of getting your paycheck, like your first amount, right?
So what was that transition like? Was it a process were there habits that you developed in those stages, like going from university, med school, And then residency, did you have to like manage, or was it kind of just because that was your first time earning, there was really nothing much to...
No, you still want to be good.
Yeah.
Because it's the first time earning, but this time I feel like I'm now, the responsibility is on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not really, because you're earning, you're taking care of things. So you have like your rent, your car, you have different responsibilities, like be it like your home insurance, car insurance, like there's different things. So I felt like I was earning, but I still had to plan to make sure that I'm not like overspending and living above my
Right.
means, because it's easy for you to do that if you feel like, okay, yes, you have this money and then, okay, I can do this, I can do that. I feel like it adds up and it creeps in.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay attention, you can get really lost and you're going to wonder why you have so many zeros there. And you'll be like, really?
It's called lifestyle creep.
I was like, was that me?
Yeah. Because I remember when I first graduated from uni, actually when I was in uni, I had an internship.
Okay.
Today, I don't know what I did with that money, because so in uni, obviously my dad was also like sending me an allowance, right? But like I had like an 8-month internship where I was working in oil and gas, and I was earning money I had no business earning, really, because I still don't know what I did with that money. Like it literally came and went. I didn't have any expenses.
Right.
I wasn't paying rent or anything, and it just went. So I think, obviously, thinking back now, like had I been more prudent with the money, had I been investing it at that time, at like I was 20 at the time, right? Imagine what that would look like now if I had kept that money and like invested it till now.
True.
So it's so true that like initial first paycheck or first time working, like if you're not careful,
it will creep in.
It will all go. And I mean, better it like disappearing than you like taking on debt, right? Because then you find yourself in thousands of dollars in debt. Yeah. So I guess as you went through med school, residency, and then you became like an actual doctor. What was that feeling like, transitioning from residency to, obviously, I'm sure the pay jump was a lot. How did that feel, that first paycheck as a medical doctor?
I blinked twice. It felt really good. And I was like, oh my gosh.
I'm in the big leagues now.
Yes, we're in the big leagues. It was very rewarding, but at the same time, it also feels overwhelming too, because the thing is, sometimes especially when you live in Canada, right, as you're expanding financially, you also get more taxes as well. So there are other things that you have to keep in mind too. So yes, it's good, but it can also come with certain things.
Right. Which is actually going to be my follow-up question. Like, what are some misconceptions that people have about how doctors earn money or spend money? Like, because I mean, the ultimate goals, obviously, like if you really want to make money, go be a doctor. But what is that misconception you think that people have about how doctors earn?
I feel like with how doctors earn, it depends, of course, on the type of physician you are, because different physicians, different doctors will earn more depending on your specialty, depending on how active they are, what they bring to the table. But one thing in common, I would say that resonates across the board is you can make all that money, and you can make all that money, but if you're not managing it, if you're not investing it, and if you're not planning properly, then you're not, that is where you really have true wealth. That's how I see it.
Right. So it's not about the income. It's more about how you manage it.
That's the thing. It's how you manage it. That's how I see it, because I feel like it's very easy for things to go downhill, in the sense that for example, when I was in Sarnia, I had my own clinic. I was in private practice, and it was nice, of course, when I had my first paycheck, and it was very, it was very good.
It's good.
Yes, financially secure.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very
but
heavy.
yes, but the thing is, being a solo practitioner, there are so many things you have to consider. I had to pay my nurses. I had overhead fees. I had to pay rent for the building, and there's just so many expenses. And of course, you have like investment vehicles that you can like put money in, which can grow, but there's still a lot of expenses that you incur. And I felt like for me, it was a lot, because when you are the only one there and you're taking care of all these patients, but then you can't split the costs, it can be overwhelming.
So this is when you ran your own practice.
Right.
So that's actually very interesting, because I think it's I thought like anyone, the ultimate for any doctor is to run your own practice. But I guess because obviously you get all the income, but then I guess what you're saying is that the costs can sometimes outweigh the income that you get.
So the thing is, you can run your own practice, and the difference is I was a solo physician. So the thing, it's not about like everyone. It's always a good thing to have your own practice, but it is helpful when you do have like a group. Like currently, I'm in a group practice, so it's nice because being in a group practice, then you can share the costs within the group. So for me, it works for me, but again, it may not work for everyone. Right. And there's nothing wrong with getting your own practice, but if you have your own practice and then you have people there working for you, and by having people there, you can have shared costs, and then it makes the expenses more, I would say, more efficient, more affordable.
Right.
So that would be like a better way to do it. And it was, and that's the thing, everything's a learning curve. Like it's, for me, because of that experience that I had in Ontario, just being having a solo practice and managing all the costs, the expenses, and of course, not to forget, when you leave, you have to get someone to take over your patients, right? A locum, to watch them, because they have to manage everything. So you see, it becomes very tedious. So for me, as soon as I was moving to Calgary, I was like, if I'm coming here, I want to be in a group practice, because at least we have shared costs. And then if I leave for any reason, I have like my colleagues to cross cover. So you do what works for you,
right?
And that's what works for me. Now, there are some physicians who are not in the community practice. They don't deal with outpatient. They're in the hospital. It's a total different scenario, because in the hospital, you can pick up shifts. Like my girlfriend, she's a hospitalist, and she works 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I always joke about it. I'm always like, oh man, if I could do this again,
that's nice.
that would be nice.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I really like outpatient because of the continuity of care. I love that, I see a patient, I'm like, okay, let's check your weight, let's check and see how your cholesterol is. Let's see your diabetes screening.
So it's like more intimate relationship.
Yeah, and then, they come back later and I'm like, okay, good job, everything's looking good. But sometimes when you're in the hospital, it's kind of like in and out. You take care of them, and continuity of care it can be there, but it's not the same flow as it is in the outpatient setting.
And in terms of like money and earnings, which one would you say would weigh more? So I mean, I guess my question is like, if you're talking to like a young medical student who's trying to make that decision, not necessarily because they care more about the money, but they're just trying to figure out which one might pay better, what option would you advise?
I would always go with, they shouldn't look at it as what pays better. They should look at it as what works well for them. What do they prefer? Like for me, I've always loved outpatient. So that's why, I went into it. If I wanted to go into inpatient, I could, but I personally don't like being in the hospital all the time. So I wanted something more laid back. And also because, I'm a mom, a wife, I wanted something that I felt like I would have more balance. For me, that's why I stuck with the outpatient setting. But I mean, you could still get balance with the inpatient if you did like, you work 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, for example, and you did rotations. But then most people I know don't end up doing that. They just work the entire time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. So if we go back to your like money journey,
Yeah.
when you think back on, I mean, I know you said that you're a planner for the most part,
Yeah.
but when you think back on your money journey, is there a money mistake that you made early on that kind of shaped how you think today?
Yes, I will say, in terms of money mistakes, not being disciplined with money. So when I would say, like, probably when I was much younger, I didn't really pay attention to certain things and probably just be more reckless.
Yeah.
Not, just you grow into these things.
Yeah.
And I feel like as an adult now, I've been able to be very disciplined. I will say I'm well grounded. I try to make sure I'm accountable with how I spend money. It wasn't always like this. I won't even take credit. Like,
Yeah.
my husband has also been very good because he's excellent with money. In fact,
Okay.
you should talk to him. He is good. He's excellent, and I feel
Yeah.
like having someone like that too has been helpful
Okay.
because he's been a good guide. And so for me, I try to make sure I'm on a budget and I try to plan. For example, with my account, I have like a personal account and a savings account. And I try to make sure, and of course, my husband has his, and then we have a joint account. But I try to make sure I have things like fixed costs, all those things are gone. Like, it's
Right.
all automatic,
Okay.
But when, you're younger, you may not know to put these things on
Yeah.
auto pay. And then it's like, oh, what? I thought I paid that. Oh, that was
Yeah.
last month.
And then you have interest on
Then
it.
you have interest, right? So it's kind of like these silly things that it makes so much sense. Just put it as auto pay, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just comes out automatically. And so when you have a structure like that, then everything is just easier because you're not going to have surprises.
Right.
And also, I try to make sure, even with how much I'm making, there's a fixed percentage that I would put into my savings.
Okay.
Right. And then, of course, you have investment vehicles
Yeah.
and things like that. So
do you invest, do you manage, like, do you do all of that by yourself? Like, do you invest by yourself or do you outsource that?
So
investing?
outsource, and my husband, he's really good.
So outsource to him?
Yes, I defer to him.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very good with things like that.
Yeah. Okay. That actually is a good segue to my next question. Like, I know you mentioned that you've been with your husband for the longest time, since you were 18, right?
18.
That's amazing.
We met at university.
Yeah, you lucked out. So obviously, in that case, that means you guys have been through a lot of seasons and a lot of changes, right?
Right.
So what are some things that you would say you and your husband have done to kind of stay financially aligned through those seasons and as things have changed?
I think a big thing for us is communication. We always communicate, and we try to sit down and have a financial review of how things are looking and just keeping track of certain things. So I feel like by doing that and understanding how understanding how your expenses should be and what each allocations are, and having, like, for example, we have like a spreadsheet and we try and review. So those things.
Do you guys have spreadsheet dates?
We do.
Interesting.
Especially if I've been bad.
And because they say like
bad.
money is one of the biggest reasons that people get divorced. So
that's true.
I guess with that, then it seems like you and your husband have figured out the way to, stay afloat.
And there's also the trust system too.
Okay, because I was gonna ask, like, what are
system.
some of the red flags? Like, what advice would you give to like single ladies out there who aren't married yet, but what are some things that they should look out for as they pair with their potential partner, to avoid stories that touch financially?
I think, for single ladies out there, they want to make sure they have someone who's supportive, and not only that, someone who they feel they can trust. And I know this is like broad terms I'm throwing out there, but I feel like you want to have a companion that has the same vision that you have. Because and someone who's willing to support you, likewise, you willing to support them. Because if you are trying to like map things out and you're going in two different directions because you don't always agree, then you're always going to have issues. And and also with the little things too, I feel like there's certain little things that shouldn't be an issue. And if you see that little things are already an issue, that should be a red flag. Because if the little things that, no one should be raising their eyebrows about, you're having your partner giving you a hard time about it, then it's like, how are you going to deal with like when you come across like big things?
So, but in terms of like money then and spending money, do you, because I've seen situations where some people would say, oh, if I make my own money, I can wake up and go buy like a brand new Lamborghini because it's my money. Right. And you don't discuss that with your spouse. So I guess with you and your husband, do you guys always discuss everything, every expense that you make? Or
so the thing is, and that's why I talked about the trust system, right? Because the thing too is, it's not like he's controlling. It's you have the freedom to do what you want. But the question you have to ask yourself is that like a necessity or is that just something you want?
Interesting.
You know what I mean? So my husband is he's a team player, and I'm very blessed. Like, we're both financially secure and we have a strong financial foundation. So I feel like, yes, like he can wake up and go get what he wants. I can do that too. But then that's how you both become reckless.
Right.
Because like, if everyone's just waking up, picking what they want, then that's how you're going to end up and look at the account and say, oh, what's happening? So that's the trust system, because he has access to my account, I have access to his, but we have an understanding. Right.
So you guys have a shared vision for like where you want to be building wealth together.
Exactly.
So no one's like overly skewed to the other side where they just want to spend and like be like, oopsies.
I used to be that. I used to be that way, but not anymore.
Okay. Actually, let's explore that. What changed? Like, how did you shift from being that way, like just spending?
I actually took time and I sat down with him to understand how expenses are like. In the sense that, like, you make money and you're just like, oh, okay, like, yeah, there's money. But when you start allocating things and you start sitting down, breaking down where things need to be, then I feel like sometimes it keeps you grounded, because you're like, okay, well, is this a good expense? Should I really be doing this? Or should I, do this?
Yeah.
So I feel like when I got more involved with the finances, then I became better.
Interesting. So
that's for me.
I guess the key point then, for anyone who's like struggling with a spouse that's spending, is let everyone get involved and get aligned. So
like sit down, review the spreadsheet so you actually see how things are. And then it keeps you a little bit grounded, because then okay. And then the thing is, you always have, like, I feel like the way my expenses are, at least, I always have allocations for lifestyle, flex, like certain things. So it's not like you can't spend. You just have to be smart about it.
Yeah. I always say that budgeting for me is not like restriction. It's more allowing you to spend on things that you actually value. Right. Because sometimes, I mean, I'm an accountant, so I'm always like, I love numbers and whatnot. So I'm always, literally every month, I do a money review, and it pisses me off when I see that I spent money on things like, I don't know, food, something that's like, I shouldn't have, right? I'd rather spend money on travel, right? So that's what, to me, is what budgeting, the importance of budgeting is that you're making sure that you're allocating funds appropriately.
Correct.
But that actually leads me to my next question then. Like, what is something that you spend on that feels like a splurge, but actually improves the quality of your life?
So for me, I would say there's certain things that, and I know we've talked about budget and a lot of stuff, but there's certain things that I really value, and I will say it is self-care. I do not play with self-care. I feel like I already work hard, and I have to make sure I'm taking care of myself mentally. So, in terms of like fitness gear, and be it the spa, my nails, my hair, those are things that I do prioritize.
Yeah.
But I really try to make sure like self-care for me is important.
Right.
It makes me happy. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that
Okay.
I
I
know
love
I do.
that. Okay, so final one then. What is an expectation that you think that um or a narrative that women need to unlearn when it comes to money?
Okay, so I guess the best way I would answer it is, if I was to use myself, is to be more involved. And so they to be more involved and be mindful of unnecessary spendings, right? Because you have to ask yourself, and that's what I try and do too. It's not like I don't want to, like, everyone can buy stuff and spend stuff, but you always have to ask yourself, is this something that is truly necessary? Is this a necessity, or is this just a want? Like, you
Right.
just want it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want it, you're gonna want everything.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you draw the line?
Yeah, exactly, right? So I
Yeah.
feel like you have to set those clear boundaries. So for me, I think that has worked. I try to ask myself, and that way it keeps me grounded, keeps me aligned, and that way I stay safe.
I love that. I love that. So women, we need to unlearn just spending and, leaving
I would say unnecessary
spending.
That's the word, unnecessary spending. It's not like you can't spend, but the thing is, I mean, you already have 4 pairs of shoes, right? Like, that you got within maybe like a week.
Yeah.
Do you need the 5th one?
Exactly.
That's just an example.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I love that. All right. So we're going to play a game. It's called This or That. I'm just going to ask you this or that, and you pick which one you want or you like.
Okay.
Designer bags or luxury vacation?
Luxury vacation.
Okay.
That's
why?
So vacation for me is just a mood. Like, it's a vibe. I love going on vacation. I love building memories. I still dream of Italy when I went with my husband. That was for our anniversary. And I would pick a luxury vacation every day.
A luxury bag.
Every day. Like, every day.
I love that. All right. So VIP, this one is a setup because I know you just came back from from her concert, but VIP front row seats to Beyonce to actually meet her, or a one-on-one wealth building session with Warren Buffett.
Now, I am not the average person when it comes to Beyonce. Because I would say, like, technically the second option is, it's a good option. Yeah. But for me, I'll go with the VIP tickets.
Okay. I mean, own it. I mean, it is Beyonce. Tickets. That's a hard one.
I'll go with that.
She can even probably teach you how to make money. Whatever Warren Buffett would teach you. I mean, she's a billionaire too, so she probably...
Thing is, we're the ones making her rich, kind of.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
Well, of course, she's done her investments.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Okay, meal prep or cook at home versus a daily gourmet takeout or a personal chef.
There's nothing wrong with a personal chef, but I actually love cooking. I cook a lot. So I would always go with like meal prepping. There's just, I don't know what it is. I mean, just the fact that I can cook. I actually call it marathon cooking. I've cooked for like 12 hours before. I'll just like cook like egusi, jollof rice, like salmon. I'll bake. I'll just cook everything all at once. So I love cooking. And for me, I would go with cooking. Always, when my kids are happy.
Gordon Ramsay or anything like. What if he knows how to make egusi soup?
I don't know. Like, there's something about, I don't know. Like, I like my cooking. Like, and I'm very picky about how I cook, I would say, because I make sure I manage the oil. I try to be very healthy.
Right.
So I have substitutes for everything. So I'll be so picky. Unless they can kind of go through my list.
And then just do
and then they cook and put a little bit of spice and sugar. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Okay, fine. So you're cooking your meal at home.
Yes.
All right. Would you rather have $1 million now or $100,000 a year for 10 years?
Probably the second option.
$100K a year for 10 years?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's like coming constantly.
Okay.
And then not only that, I feel like, well, it depends. I mean, nothing is, with the 1 million too, you could still take it and invest. I guess it just depends on what you want, right? But I don't know. I feel like with the 100 for the next 10, that's not bad.
Then you don't have to worry about like money coming in. You can even like,
if you,
although that might not replace obviously your full-time job.
Exactly, it's not going to replace it, but at least with the 100, if you put it in the right channels and it's investing, then it's going to regenerate itself.
Right.
So I feel like with the 100 each time, I would go with that option than just one time. And then if you get the 1 million too, don't forget your taxes and all that too.
Yeah, true. There's that. Right? Actually, you're thinking like a true Canadian.
It's gonna hit you hard.
There's always
I rather take the 100 gently,
yeah,
and so I can like manage the taxes and keep.
Okay, actually, I didn't think about the tax part.
Yeah, especially like retirement savings and all that RESP.
Yeah,
that you can just put. Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then I guess the last question I have here for you is just complete the sentence, right?
Yes.
When it comes to money, I no longer tolerate what?
Unnecessary expenses.
I love it. No unnecessary expenses around here.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
Well, Dr. Mercy, this was fun. Thank you so much for coming. Do you have any last words for any, young girl that's listening, either someone who's trying to decide what they want to do with their lives, or someone who's already decided and wants to maybe know something else about, like, maybe if you have like an unconventional money hack or travel hack or shopping hack or something that you can share with people?
Well, I think I would say for all the young ladies out there, and I think it's very important for you to plan, and no one is too big or too old to have a budget. Like, I think it keeps you aligned. It really helps you stay grounded. So I feel like if you plan, you can do whatever you want to do, because then you will set things aside for example, let's say you have like a vacation or something that you're trying to spend money towards, right? So by saving and keeping all that, then over time, you can go on your dream vacation. You can do what you need to do. And I feel like with everything too comes time. There's always, everyone is in a different stage in life. And so like, depending on where you are right now, like there's always time for growth. So it's good for you to learn how to manage what you have currently and build with what you have. And then in due time, it will grow, right? So it's all about planning. And I think that is what true wealth is, like managing, investing, planning, and it's always going to help you in the long run.
I love that. That was amazing. Yeah. Well, guys, you've heard it. Plan. You definitely cannot outplan your money and your income. With growing wealth, it's really, what's more important is not what you earn, but how much you keep, how much of it you're actually able to keep and grow. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to Inside Your Finance. Again, I'm your host, Jennifer Ikoroje. Tune in again for more episodes as we continue to explore people's relationships with money. Thank you.